Hello everyone, this is Robin the Delta Crafter, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I created an accompanying journal to go along with my new Bible journaling kit called When God Asks a Question from By the Well for God. Let's get started. So to get started, I just grabbed an empty traveler's notebook out of my stash to use for my journal. Then I took the stencil that was an add-on with the kit and decided to use the stencil on the cover. I'm showing you the distress inks I'm using, which are picked raspberry, squeezed lemonade, and salty ocean. I apologize right now because I didn't realize that I was actually doing my ink application and ink blending off camera, or that rather that it was out of the shot. So I apologize for that, but you'll get to see the cover in just a moment. I decided to use the sticker that came with the kit on the cover. So I sized it up to make sure that I had the had the sticker in the place that I wanted it to have it, and that I was doing the ink blending in a different place that allowed me room for the sticker to be applied. So here I am doing the ink blending. I started with the squeezed lemonade, then I moved to the picked raspberry, and actually in just a moment you'll see me where I make a mistake in using right there I use my yellow brush in my pink ink, but it's okay because I use my stamp cleaning solution to get that out of my brush, and it worked fine. Also, just to let you know, these ink blending brushes that I'm using here, I actually have a video review on my channel. So be sure to check that out because this was a great, less inexpensive option as compared to some other ink blending brushes. And I really like the results that I get with these brushes. So be sure to check that out. Check that video out, and you can also find the link to the product. They're from Amazon. I purchased them on Amazon. So here I am, again, adding a little more ink in there because the yellow and blue, of course, together make a green. So I didn't have to use a green ink. I just used the yellow and blue together to create a little bit of green on the cover. And again, you'll see this in just a moment later on when I show you the final cover. So this is me realizing that I got some pink ink on my yellow brush. So I used my Stampin' Mist from Stampin' Up to clean my brush and get the pink ink out of my yellow brush so that I don't have any future contamination. Going back in with some Salty Ocean and doing a little bit more, and I'm decided to add some at the top of the book as well. Some inks, that is. So now that I'm done with the ink blending, I'm going to add the stamp to the top of the cover. I decided at first I was just going to do the question marks in the stencil, but then I decided to put some ink blending on the outside of the stencil. And I kind of wish I had not done that because there is such a stark difference between the edges of where the edge of the stencil ended and where the ink blending begins. Um, I still may go back and add some water or do some more ink blending to kind of soften that. Um, but what I probably would have done is just done the question marks and then go back and add the ink blending around the area that I used. And there you saw me trying to figure out if I wanted to put some of the ephemera on the cover, and it just did not work out for me. I didn't like the way it was coming together, so I decided to leave the cover with just the question marks from the stencil and the sticker. So then I moved to the inside and I decided to use the ephemera on the inside of the journal. And I really, really like the way that I layered these up, some of them hanging off the edge of the journal, of that cover page. And you'll see what I do with that in just a moment. But I'm trying to layer them up, and I'm using my my tape runner, and it has permanent tape in it at this moment. So I use that, and I'm able to adhere the ephemera to that front journal page. So far, I'm really liking the way it's coming together. It's looking kind of like what I wanted it to look like. But of course, this is a process. So this is just the beginning. You got to play around with your things. And sometimes, oftentimes for me anyway, things don't ever come together and look like they might, I'm questioning whether or not it's going to come together until I add the very last thing. And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, there it is. It's come to life. Um, so I looked through the stickers to see if there was anything that I wanted to add for the title. I didn't quite find anything. I didn't want to add any more ephemera to the top. So I was trying to figure out what to do, and then I remembered there were the large stamps that came with the stamp set, of the questions, the who, where, and why. And so I decided to lay those down and use those on this cover page, because this is going to be the cover page of my journal. I have a stamp positioning tool, but I felt like the book was just a little bit too thick. It wasn't necessarily leaning itself well towards using a stamp positioning tool. So I just went old school with the acrylic block, and I'm very happy with that, with using that option. I'm inking my stamps up with VersaFine ink. There you go. I knew I'd show it to you because it's a great solid black ink. It is crisp, and it is a really, really dark black, so I like that a lot. Here I am pushing it down. Now you see me use my stamp positioning tool as a surface to stamp on. The reason why I do that is the table that I work on has a little bit of give in it. And so if I'm not on a hard surface, which I felt like my stamping tool was going to provide that for me. If I don't stamp on a hard surface, then you get what happened here, which is your stamp is incomplete. What I should have done was rub my hand or the palm of my hand over the entire stamp back and forth, just to make sure there was a good application, that there wouldn't be any gaps. But no fear, there's a way to fix this. I use my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen to kind of draw in the missing details. And once I do that, then I'm able to color in that W on the where to make it fill in and be complete, which, luckily for me, I used black ink, and I was able to use my black Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen to fill that in. So, and I used a fine tip, which gave me the precision that I needed in order to fill in those letters, and that worked out great. Um, I did have a little bit of smudging on the cover, but I'm not concerned about that because that kind of lends itself to the fact that this is handmade and it's my journal, and it's my experience. So there you have it. You can see the cover now where I have ink blended using the 3 colors I showed you earlier, and the the sticker on top. That concludes the creation of this journal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe by hitting the subscription button, and then also hitting the notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos. I hope you've enjoyed this, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.